So the next thing that we're going to do is learn how to work with classes and IDs. As of right now in your CSS, you've used tags, so H1, H2, P tags, those types of things, to specify how you're going to work on or how you're going to style your HTML. So, for example, this means that all of the images on the page will have the following width, 150 pixels, by a height of 75 pixels. But as you notice here with my page right here, or with my picture, that makes it look kind of weird. So I might want to have different specifications or different styling for this image versus these images down here. So the way that I'm going to do that is, in fact, by creating a class for these images and an ID for this image. So how am I going to do that? Well, it's actually kind of simple. The way that you're going to do that here is creating a class for each one of these images. So classes are basically attributes that you put on the inside of pretty much any tag that you use in HTML. So I have this image tag here. So on this side of this image, I can actually create a class and make it equal to, and I'm just going to call them table images. I can name classes whatever I want. And the cool thing about these classes is that a class applies to multiple pieces or multiple objects on an HTML. So I can actually take this class and go down to this image down here and copy that class down here. Then go down to this image and copy that class down there. Again, I'm putting them in between the IMG and the or the main name of the tag and the pointy bracket here. So I have the class table images. Now, if I come over here, I can actually call on that class by just simply writing a dot and then write table images. That means basically, hey program, take anything with the class, you define classes with dots in CSS, anything with the class table images, I want it to have the following attributes. I want it to have a width of 150 pixels and a height of 75 pixels. If you look down here, check it out. They're all there because I have the same classes. And notice there's nothing in the IMG now at this point. I don't need that IMG one because all of my images I want them to be different sizes. So all of these I wanted to be the same size, the table images, but I want this image to be a little bit different. It already looks a little bit better, but I want to specify it. And so for that, since it's only one image that I want to specify, I'm going to use an ID. So the difference between a class and an ID is a class you use on multiple tags at the same time. An ID you use on one specific tag. So here's this. So I put ID, and then I'm going to give it the ID of main image. So for an ID, instead of a dot, if I come over here to CSS, I'm actually going to use a hashtag. So I say hashtag main image. And instead of widths of 150 and a height of 75, because again, it looks kind of weird right here, I'm going to make the height a little bit bigger to see if I can't make it seem better. Actually, I made the width bigger, so I need to make sure the width is back, maybe like to 150. And then I need to make the height a little bit better. I need to make it bigger right here, so I'm going to try to do this with 150. Let's do 150, 150. Oh, that looks a lot better. So here's a cool thing about this main image thing is I've been able to take just one specific picture by assigning it an ID instead of a class. Think of it like this, is like an ID is like something that only one person have, like show me your ID. Nobody has the same ID as the next person, but a class, if I'm in a class, I'm in a group with a bunch of other people, right? And so here's a class, right? A class of these images, and here's an ID with this particular image. Let's create another ID to say that, like, hey, I want this one also to be centered. So maybe if I do text align center, it'll center it for me, but it didn't work. So here's the problem with the center, is that you're saying center this in the middle of whatever you're in here, in the middle of the image. The image is already centered in the middle of the image, so we actually can't have text align in that, so in that image itself. So what I'm actually going to have to do is create a division here. So I'm going to put a div on this side of the image, and a div on this side of the image. I close it on this side of the image. And I'm going to give this div a special ID. I'm going to say that this div is called the main, so image division. I'll just call it, give it an ID of image division. So to call on that ID, and this division, by the way, goes all the way across the page now, instead of just being this image. So I say ID, which I use a hashtag for, and then I say image division. And now let's see if it checks the line center. Ah, there we go. Now I was able to center it. So I was able, through classes, to style all of these images in the same way by giving them the same class name. But up here, because I just wanted to style this main image here, I was able to use an ID. Remember, IDs are for specific one-time uses. You can't use this ID again, so you can never have another ID on your page that's called main image, and you can never have another ID on the page that's called image division, but you can reuse table images as many times as you want. Just realize that it will always be styled with this table images CSS. So again, just to review from the CSS side, to call on a class you use a dot, and to call on a ID you use a hashtag. Then everything else looks just like regular CSS. Good luck on using your own classes and IDs to make your own web page.